Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole. The statements in the following broadcast are not necessarily the opinions of the Madness Comic Network, its staff, sponsors, or contributors. This show is rated TVMA, as are all of them and all those other letters. Viewer discretion is highly advised. And, just do what Doc says. Read that again. Peace, everybody.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
An ancient darkness is breaking through into our reality. The overlords are coming. They're demons united. They'll stop at nothing to tear our world to shreds. And the only thing that can stop them is the power of metal. You have been chosen by the gods of metal to lead this crusade of finger-shredding fury. You must write the sick riffs, craft the awesome lyrics, find unholy rhythms, and set the heads banging. Show the overlords that their darkness is nothing compared to yours. Gods of Metal is a co-op deck-building game for 1 to 4 players. You and your bandmates must work to create the most powerful band in human history. Find mystical instruments of legend, outlandish costumes to improve your powers, and recruit mascots to help you battle the overlords. Find the power of pure decibels and use them to destroy your enemies by crafting songs that will literally blow their minds. Form a band. Save the world. Gods of Metal. Now on Kickstarter.
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. Welcome to the Tuesday Morning Brew. It is I, your hostess, with the hottest coffee around, Laurie Calcaterra. Before I bring my awesome guest in, which I'm super excited to talk to you today, I just want to give y'all an update on Path of the Pale Rider. So trade paperbacks have gone to print. I've got some feedback from the printer. We just had to tweak a couple things just to make sure, like, double splash pages print correctly, the covers, all of that. So those are being done. We're still on target to have them by the end of the month. So I'm super excited for that. I can't wait for that. In fact, I gotta get caught up on all the other merch. So most everything is in. I have like a crap ton of things to 3D print. I was just doing some inventory. I have keychains to 3D print. I have hot sauce bottles to 3D print and Big James miniatures to 3D print. I was like, I need to move my 3D printer somewhere where I can babysit it. Because I need to be constantly 3D printing. Good morning. Howdy, Facebook user. Not sure who you are, but we love you. So that's where we're at. My goal this week is to get that Survey Monkey done so we can start naming the pineapple and picking weapons for the next Slice and Dice. I'd like to get that on the calendar as well. So that's where we are with good old Path of the Pale Rider. The link for issue number 5 sign up is up and running. So let me drop that in the chat. It's just the good old www.pale-rider.com, and will take you to the Kickstarter. How hot is your coffee? It's not actually that hot anymore because I've been drinking it since this morning, but I need a refresh. Are you actually drinking coffee? Yes, in my lovely POTPR Yeti, which I made this myself. And what coffee am I drinking? I think it was a Kona blend. Good old fashioned Kroger Private Select, I think. Because coffee is expensive. Now, I was getting some really good coffee, and I'll tell you what, it's expensive. It was like $15, $16 for a little bag of beans. Oh, hot sauce time. Hey, this weekend I went to Carpe Diem. I went to their Nauticon called Carpe Fabulum, and I had a blast. And sold a ton of books, met a lot of really cool people, brought them into the fandom. Some of them joined the Facebook group, so I'm so excited that they're there. And I premiered the 2 new flavors of the hot sauce, and the overwhelmingly positive response. Had a ton of people purchase all 3 of them, and had a great old time. So nope, still Facebook user love. So anywho, let's get this thing rolling. I'm going to bring in my guest today, Mr. Ed Jowett. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Jowett, but near enough.
Close enough. I feel you. Nobody pronounces my name correctly either.
So I wouldn't even dare try, to be honest.
It's funny because it's phonetic, but because there's so many letters, people just panic. It's just Calcaterra.
There we are. I guess I got it right.
See?
Go me. It's the brotherhood of people whose names get pronounced wrongly.
All right. Yeah, of course it's Keith. It's always Keith. It's usually Keith or Rachel whenever it says Facebook user. But Keith has 16 different Facebook accounts. So he has to keep switching the permissions whenever he comes and says hi. Hi, Keith. We love you. So, Ed, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. It's a slightly rainy Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah. Are you in Texas? Where are you at?
England, London.
You are in England. Okay. I was going to say, I have quite a few guests that come on.
The accent
England.
gives it away. I'll tell you what, this is a very convenient time of day. It really is.
I have friends that are from New York that are in England. I have friends from England that are here. So you never know by an accent. You can never tell.
No, that's fair enough. But yes, I'm English. I'm sorry. I'm perhaps even aggressively English.
If you keep apologizing, we're going to assume you're Canadian.
What
It's rainy here in Texas too, so that's why I was like, "Oh, are you here?" But across the pond.
It's England, of course. It's rainy.
I know. That's what we would assume. It's like, is it always raining there?
It's normally rainy. Yeah, normally.
Too bad.
So yeah, more or less good. I've had a productive day. Hoping to continue to have a productive day. That'd be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would love to hear about your journey. So everybody that's watching, Ed and I have a mutual friend, Greg Moquin, who does like mittens and he does scales and he does some other titles. And so that's kind of how our paths crossed. I can talk. And so I haven't read any of Ed's work. He was so kind to send me a sample. He has a large catalog of things between not only comic books but you have card games, tabletop games, and novels, correct?
And audio dramas and a movie.
See what I mean? So, Ed, you wear all the hats. I aspire to be like you.
Thank you very much. I'm very flattered.
So how did this whole journey begin? Why don't you take us back to the beginning and tell us all your origin story, how you got into all of this?
I'd just like to ironically remark that when I started comics, I planned originally to start with an origin story, and the person who I worked with, who really originated us doing comics, sort of gave me a verbal slap around the face and said, "Origin stories are boring. Start with a good story."
Ouch.
I mean, but actually, if you think about it, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Because it's about who the hero was before they were the hero, before they were interesting enough to write the comic about them. So the origin story is actually not that interesting. What's interesting is who they are now. Anyway, my origin story. I will risk another verbal slap in the face by John, who is a very, very good friend of mine. We've been friends for 12 plus years now. It goes all the way back to university, really. I went to the Indoor Gaming Society at university, and I played a role-playing game.
Okay.
Specifically, I played Paranoia, which is still one of my favorite role-playing games of all time. If you've never heard of it, it's well worth a look. You are a troubleshooter in an underground complex where the remainder of humanity survived after a nuclear war. You're looked after by Friend Computer, which is literally the Big Brother eye.
Gotcha. So it's
and it spouts things like happiness is mandatory, and things like that. So it's absolutely fine. When I say you're a troubleshooter, I mean you find trouble and shoot it.
Oh
no! It's a very, very silly comedy game where you are expected to die, you gang up on each other, you die, then the clone of you arrives remembering nothing about what happened before. It's a really fun time as a few one-offs. The only limitation on it that I've found is you can't run a campaign of this game because it just gets too toxic after a while. Like, anyone doesn't mind dying 5 times in a session the first time they play it.
I would think that's hilarious.
Yeah, but when that happens to you every single time for like 6 weeks,
yeah, you're like, and I'm dead again.
So I played Paranoia. I rather enjoyed it.
Cool.
One other factor about Paranoia is going to be very important, but I'll tell you when it comes relevant to the story. So I went back the following week, and it turned out that there weren't enough GMs for the players. And so they just went, will anyone GM? I was like, well, fine, sure, whatever. Fine, cool, yeah, I'll do it. So it turns out that in Paranoia, it's against the rules for the players to know the rules.
Oh.
So only the GM knows the rules. So the GM just decides. Like roll some dice, and then you look up and you sort of do the... You sort of give them the face. And so I ran a game of Paranoia. And from then on, I basically didn't stop GMing for 4 years at university.
Wow. Okay.
So during my last year at university, there was a 24-hour game. it was a tradition in Durham that we would do a 24-hour game every year. And I got involved with it, and they wanted to do a sci-fi game, and I happen to be a sci-fi guy. At the end of the day, that's fundamentally what I am. I'm a sci-fi guy. Even my fantasy universe has a bit of a sci-fi twist on it. I can't resist. So, they'd done low fantasy the previous year. They wanted to do like hard sci-fi, like tech and aliens and all the rest of it. So what we did is myself and one other person, Adam Simmons, who made really contributed very heavily to this alongside me. We made this universe, which would eventually become Era the Consortium, in which there are role-playing games, comics, expansions, and so on. Sorry.
So the sci-fi world?
Sorry, that threw me.
No, I'm sorry.
So Adam and
I was saluting the chat.
Yeah, no, I got it. I saluted it as well. Don't worry. It just threw me for a moment.
You're like, Al, you just crashed his train of thought. Way to go.
Yeah. How
sci-fi game.
Come on.
The 24-hour game.
So we create this universe, and 6 GMs run 4 sessions. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
For this 24-hour game, but I got ill. I got really ill. I got some really bad vomiting suddenly after my 3rd session, and I couldn't run the final session. It killed me, but I had to step away. I had to go and go and stay in my room in university and vomit in the toilet. That's what I had to do, and so in fact the very same Adam picked up and ran my final session for me. He stepped in and ran it for me. And after that, I went and got a job and became a member of humanity.
I know that sucks, doesn't it?
I know it kind of sucks.
It's usually temporary, though. It's like
fortunately
it's like,
for me, it was.
We do our nerdy thing. We join humanity. We find out it sucks. It's always going to suck, and then we get back to what we love.
Yeah. So 2 years later, I started running role-playing games for some friends and family.
Nice.
And what I decided to do was actually go back to this universe that we'd done at university and build it out a bit more and run that series of sessions that I never quite finished with a new group of people. And that, that was really nice. I really enjoyed it. And then when I got to the end of that campaign, my brother said to me, my brother was playing, and he said to me, you didn't read that particular one. I didn't send you that one. My brother was playing a drunken sniper who shoots better when he's drunk. And at the end of the campaign, which was about 10 sessions long, in the end, he said to me, "Hey Ed, I'll run the next one if you write down the rules for me." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, I mean, I totally wasn't just making it up off the top of my head. It's all fine.
Right.
Yeah, I'll write down
Really
the rules.
wasn't.
That's fine." So I went ahead and wrote down the rules, and while I was doing so, I thought, look, I may as well do a nice job of this, right? I may as well make it look nice. So I consulted with a guy from my workplace who does like professional documentation and so on. He gave me some advice and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I ended up chatting to a really good friend of mine from my World of Warcraft days. Yes, like many others, I played World of Warcraft.
Right.
And a really good friend in Canada called Brew. He just said, "Ed, this is awesome. You should publish this." It turned out after a bit of digging, he knows Kevin Cepeda from Palladium Games.
Oh wow.
Who did Robotech? I think they did the Turtles as well, offhand. They did a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not sure if they're still active. I've not seen anything from them in a while. But he was like, "Yeah, it's not that hard." So here I go, and I go ahead and I go away, and 2 years later I come back with Era the Consortium, this book here. And it's 300 pages long. It had
Hold on, put it back up.
Years of playable history.
Put it back. Put it back. I want to see.
Put it back. Put it back.
Wow.
What I did is I built a role-playing game that gives you 500 years of playable history. So you don't just sit and read the history. Sorry, that was deeply unrepresentative and made it look like there are no pictures in here, and you just have to read page after page of
That's insane.
stuff. But The idea is that you can play any subgenre of sci-fi with Era of the Consortium by dipping in the right place in that history. So if you want to do like the first colonies, you can go near the beginning, you know, when they first land in a colony ship. Or if you want to do, I don't know, Star Trek, you can do a little later when they're exploring space and sort of exploring new worlds and encountering new civilizations. If you want to do Starship Troopers, you can do a little later, as you well know, because you read the Bug War comics.
Yes, the Bug War.
And there's the whole opportunity to do that. You can do Star Wars, you can do Cyberpunk, you can do alien artifacts, you can do transhumanism, you can what you want to do. You just dip in the right place in the history, and you're good.
Interesting.
That was what the game was all about, and it got a decent amount of public support.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been someone who sets the world on fire in terms of the number of people who buy my books. But I'm very proud of what I create, and I have always insisted on creating something I want to play or read or have in the world.
Yes.
And I continue to try to do that every time. So from Era of the Consortium, I met John, the guy who might well slap me around the face for starting with their origin story. He helped me out with some of the writing.
We won't tell him.
On Era of the Consortium, because I was quite a novice writer back then, and that was 12 years ago. I've learned a lot, I'd like to think. He's probably still a better writer than me, though. He started sooner. It's cheating.
He's like, I'm this much older than you. Rub it in.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm a middle child. It's I already have the big problem, you know.
Me too, dude.
So, you know, he said, hey, let's do some comics. I'd love to do some comics. And we wrote Lost Time of Stiletto Unit, which featured the 8 main characters from that campaign that I'd run originally. And just a nice little short comic to sort of practice. We wrote Counting Down from 1, which you didn't get around to reading, although I sent it to you, sadly. I think you'll enjoy it. It's good fun.
Dude, I got through most of them.
No. I think you'll enjoy it when you get to it. Right?
I was going to say, it's not going to stop me from reading it when I have time.
You'll enjoy it. And then, you know, I started coming up with more ideas, and I decided to keep making role-playing games. So I made a comedy game, and the idea was that you would play as a yes, that's the
this is
that's
the website, which I'm going to drop in the chat. But
yeah, that's specifically the comics website. There are actually multiple websites,
oh my god,
and I've not entirely cleaned it up yet. If you go to shadesofvengeance.com, you'll actually find the parent page, and then you can go to all the bits and pieces. I'm surprised that's working on the comics website. It shouldn't be. That page shouldn't be there. But anyway, that's Era of the Consortium, so that's fine. It was a lot to try and deal with, but yeah, there are basically 3 subsections to what we do now. There's games, there's comics, and there's audio. And I came up with this idea of a game where you don't play as an adventurer, because that sounds really dangerous, and you don't want to lose your limbs. So instead, you tell stories of your amazing adventures that totally did happen. And you get all the golden glory that you probably deserve. Probably.
That's funny.
And then I came up with a way of modeling superpowers. So I made a superhero game, and then I made a survival horror zombie apocalypse game, which sounds like it might be your bag.
Yes.
I made a game where the players are not allowed to speak.
Oh my gosh.
Where they're magically silenced because they're on the Isle of Silence. And so on and so on and so on. Long story short, I've made 14 games. Era of the Consortium now has 18 expansions.
Wow. Okay.
A couple of other games, particularly the Zombie Apocalypse game, has, I think it's 15 now? 14? 14 or 15 expansions. I lose track, to be honest. I don't... One day recently, I did the 5th anniversary for my superhero game, and I realized that this book here was my 150th book.
Oh my gosh.
Which was actually a bit of a shock to me, because I didn't realize.
That's amazing.
I knew it was over 100, but I didn't realize I was at 150.
Wow, Ed, that's so cool.
So yeah, this big
what's
red
on the
box
what's on the side of the book?
Hmm?
The edge of the book, the other edge. The other edge. Yeah. Is that an image?
So, well, kind of. One of the things that I came up with for role-playing games is you want to get somewhere really quickly, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to get to character creation, you can look at the edge, find the bit that is the character creation-y bit, which is quite small here, it's red, and go straight there.
Oh, that's smart.
You can find powers immediately because you can go to the power-y bit or the equipment-y bit. You can find the GM section immediately just by looking at the edge of the book. So that's why that's so differentiated. It's not the best example, in fact, because I got better at it as I went on. This one here is called Era Lost Legend. It's inspired by Final Fantasy. And you'll see here, it's actually color-coded. So part 1 is dark blue, and it's this one here. Whoops. No, I'm at the wrong end of the book. That's what's going on. Part 1 is dark blue.
Camera.
Part 2 is red. That's the character creation bit, and it's red. And then part 3 is green. Oops, I just flicked slightly too far. There we go. Part 3 is green. And you can actually see from the edge of the book which parts they are. It took me a little while to sort of learn the way of doing that. But yeah, it was just something I came up with after a while of publishing books and wanting to really quickly navigate through them.
That's amazing. And I
because
think
the edge of the page is asset, right? You don't waste any asset that you have when you're making something.
I love it.
If it's just sat there offering you an opportunity.
Yeah, and Ed, I just got into binding books.
Right.
So I'm making my own book. So that's why I was like, what's on the edge? I need to know. And you're like, we're going to use every part of the book. And I'm like,
I'm not that brave as to bind my own books. I will say that.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. You should try it.
Yeah. The problem is, this might come as a surprise.
What?
But I'm slightly on the busy side.
You think?
I mean, I do work a full-time job as well.
Oh my God. This is not your full-time job?
No, this is not my full-time job. No, this doesn't. No, I could not support myself off. Well, and here's the thing, right? We were talking earlier before the stream began. I've run a lot of Kickstarters. Everything I do is crowdfunded.
Wait, guys, I gotta show you. I have to show you. Look, when I type in Shades of Vengeance, and again, he has the 2 different worlds, and then there's other stuff that's not 89 projects, and there's 10 missing.
Yeah. I mean, there's also Earascapes, which you don't have there, which are the audio projects.
Right.
And there are also 3 that I did, which I helped other people create their games that they had in mind for a very long time. I can't remember where I put them on my bookshelf, which is embarrassing.
Funded.
Here we go. Here are a couple of them. I did these with some other people. Oops.
601% funded? Oh my gosh. Here, wait, hold on. Here we go.
Yep. I did these 2 for a couple of people who had been sat on their ideas for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Both of these guys I met at the same convention, Anime North in Canada. Facilitated, perhaps unsurprisingly, by the Canadian friend I mentioned earlier, Drew.
Right.
He got me to my first convention. I did some panels. These guys came to chat to me. This guy here wanted to do explore the solar system as the writers of the 1950s, the sci-fi writers of the 1950s wanted. I was like, oh, hell yes, that sounds brilliant. Grab your personal robot, get in your rocket ship, and head out to the jungles of Venus today. And this guy here, John Sarembe, he'd been sat on versions of this that he was giving away for free for like 30 years. Wow. It's a multi-genre game. And I showed him how to get a book together, and we just did the rulebook primer together. Since then, this was years ago now. Since then, he went away and made a full-on rulebook on his own. More than wish him the best of luck with that. Obviously, I like to think that I help people bring their ideas to life as well.
That's amazing, Ed.
I think it's really important to me. It's a big part of why I do what I do. Oh, and I've just found the other one, which was hidden away because it's tiny. Marked for Death it's by a friend of mine called Sanchit, and he wanted to do a Fate game. You'll see it's Fate. which is not my bag for a system, completely truthfully. But he wanted to do that, so he did that. And in that, you play as an assassin with the ability to sort of harness elemental abilities, like turn into water or conjure fire or whatever.
Interesting.
So that was an interesting little bit of fun. Was
Keith says, so you just don't sleep? Is that how you get through?
Well, the one thing I didn't do that makes most people say, "Oh, I get it now," is I didn't tell you what my day job is.
So what's your day job?
I'm a project manager.
Okay, so you know how to make these things run smoothly.
I'm quite efficient.
Yes, right. This is just amazing. When you were like, I run Kickstarters, and I was like, let me go look, and I was like, 89. There's just pages and pages and pages, guys.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, right? I've just said I don't set the world on fire with my Kickstarters. You know that they're not tens of thousands each, right? I've done a lot of projects, but the vast majority of them are just around that I made a few $100s loss line. That's usually where I'm at.
But they're
some of the projects go really well. I recently had one that went really well, Era Kaiju, where you get to play as a kaiju in a role-playing game, which is quite fun.
Cool.
And that went really well. You know, I had a huge amount of support, and it was really fantastic. But it's very hit and miss, and that's the way crowdfunding can be sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I think
I just use the money I have, and I try and make something that I would want to see in the world. And I keep making stuff in the hope that eventually something goes well enough that I can continue to make stuff. Here at the Consortium, a Universe of Expansions is actually my single best Kickstarter of all time in terms of the funding amount. It was pretty close to $10,000. Pretty close.
Congrats.
So very
backers,
happy with that.
Man.
It let me bring 6 expansions to life. You know, it's not like this money just goes in my pocket.
Right, and no, it all goes towards the project.
No, it all went here. It let me do. No, I lie. It was more than 6 because it was the first 3 of time travel as well.
I was like, there was a whole bunch of books. Look, people.
Yeah, I mean,
look at all the books.
Here we go. There was these are the ones that came from this Kickstarter. There was Secret War, where you get to play as like a James Bond in space. It's an expansion for the Consortium game that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
There was 5th Race, which adds a 5th playable race and some history on the end.
Okay.
There's Rapier, which lets you do special hacking rules.
Mm-hmm.
Hacking can be a bit boring for the hacker, I find, in role-playing games. It's quite badly handled. So being able to do something like...
Hey, Glenn. Sorry.
No,
he always comes out and like puts my name in all caps. He's like, Laurie! And I'm like, Glenn!
There it is.
But he feels you. Glenn is also British from the UK. So.
All right. Huh. There's New Dawn. This gives you psionic abilities. Ooh, that one there. This is probably the single best book I've ever written, in my opinion. Highest quality throughout, shall we say?
Yeah.
This is a it's a campaign book. Inspired by Aliens and Dead Space.
Nice.
Where you are on board a ship. You are stuck with a whole bunch of different kinds of monsters. And you have to try and survive.
Fun
so that's a giggle. And then there were 3 other campaign books that were also that are actually related to that comic that you didn't read. I'm sorry, that keeps
Dang it! I needed to read that one first.
Yeah,
I went the wrong
keeps
way.
coming back to bite you, doesn't it? These 3 books are the first 3 of the time travel campaign. There are now 5, but these are the first 3. All of those books were funded by that Kickstarter.
That's great.
And the white ones here as well were also funded by that same Kickstarter. They're the same books, just nice hardback collection-y versions. So yeah, I love using the money that we can bring in to make more stuff. That's what it's about for me. It's about making stuff. It's never been about bringing loads and loads of money and finish and stop. No. The whole point of crowdfunding your work is to be able to create more work. Surely.
I'm with you. That's what if I make anything extra, usually my money just goes to making the project that we're on. And then it's like, I have a few extra bucks. Guess what? It goes towards starting the next one.
Well, yeah, it goes towards the next project, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the few extra bucks from Kaiju are going. They're going to my super secret project that we might talk about later. If you
Super
private.
secret. Ooh.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I like super secret.
So yeah, I mean that's.
Holy moly.
I've run some Kickstarters. You know, I have some experience running Kickstarters. I've never done more than that particular era, the consortium one that I mentioned.
So you have 99 successful Kickstarters under your belt, and that's something in and of itself.
No, I don't have 99 successful Kickstarters. I have 96.
There. Please. We don't need to blend genres here. Karen is my alter ego that plays on Fridays. Oh, Trouble will be in soon. Yay. Yep, mine's coming in soon too. Sorry. Please continue, Ed.
No,
so
I have no idea what that means, but cool.
No, that's one of my regular guests. He's always Trouble in the chat.
Oh yeah.
I play a D&D game on Fridays. It's called Slaughterville, and it's a horror-based role-play game.
I'm aware of it.
Actually, you would really get along with Chris Brown, who does kind of the same idea that you do, where he does tabletop games, role-play games. I think he has card games. He writes comics. The only thing, he has not done a movie, but kind of does the same thing. Like wears all the hats, does all the things. He also makes hot sauce. But yeah, so I play on Fridays, and my character is a literal Karen. Every sense of the word. She just makes chaos wherever she goes. So she's entertaining to watch, because she's like watching an accident when you drive by and all the ambulances are there and you slow down to look at the carnage. That's Karen.
Okay then.
So let's switch gears. I want to talk to you about some writing, because
Mhm.
we talked a lot about the consortium and the sci-fi and the games, but you actually have this whole universe of superheroes as well. How did you switch gears from like sci-fi to superheroes, or is it all kind of connected?
Yeah, I mean, my response to that is, why do you think that involves switching gears?
A lot of times people consider those two different genres. Like you wouldn't consider Spider-Man and Aliens the same genre, right?
Wouldn't you? I mean, some interpretations of Venom might disagree with you.
Good point. But usually when people are into like X-Men and Deadpool and you know what I mean, that's something specific to them. I'm with you where it's like you can bring sci-fi into any genre. But
I
so you didn't think it was switching gears at all. It was just like, hey, we're doing superheroes and there's sci-fi.
Something the other day that said,
the Venom
do you think there is any such thing as a good as a character that's so bad you can't write a good story with it?
You mean bad as in like they don't have an arc, or
like bad as in this character is just such a bad idea that it is impossible to write a good story with this character? And I just don't think that's
not
a thing.
Really?
Well, especially since write a story with this character. I mean, I'm trying to think of a good example from superheroes where it's a relatively bland character. I mean, Hawkeye might be a good example, and then you have a few really good Hawkeye comics, and you're like, okay,
I love Hawkeye.
Cool. And then most of the time, Hawkeye is written quite badly. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no,
right?
Be honest. That's what this show is for. Tell us.
I'm just being honest. Most of the time, Hawkeye is written badly. I don't think it's impossible to write him well. I don't think it's impossible for him to be an interesting and compelling character that makes you want to pick up the next issue.
Right.
But a lot of the time, he doesn't. So, or doesn't get written that way.
He's more like a B character. You know what I mean? Where there's like superheroes and then there's Hawkeye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So...
Yes.
No, I'm actually.
Nuggets.
I'm actually Norwegian.
Oh, are you really?
No.
I'm not falling for it.
Wait, and what accent? You're the ones with accents.
Hold on just a second. He said the 2 keywords.
Chicken nuggets. Consequences.
Sorry,
Okay.
Ed. Yeah, weird.
I'm guessing that's a thing that I'm just not aware of, which is totally fair enough.
See? Sup, weird asses. Thanks, Matt. It's part of Path of the Pale Rider fandom. I have this character that's an undead reporter, and she gets chaotic. She screams things like consequences and chicken nuggets at people. Anyway.
Okay.
It just shows up in the chat sometimes. Frequently. In order to prove he's English, have him pronounce garage.
You know, it's funny. I became a raid leader on World of Warcraft because people wanted to hear me say certain words. And it all started with the fact that a mage could turn enemies into tortoises.
That's funny.
And that only led to zebra, pillow. I've never been asked garage before.
I think he was expecting garage.
Or garage, maybe. I don't know. See, it depends where I am from in England, and I'm from the posh bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't. But also, my accent has been ruined by like 8 years of playing World of Warcraft with Americans, because I played on an American server. So,
it's our fault. You can blame us.
Yeah.
Okay.
My accent's been ruined. I don't belong anywhere anymore.
That's funny.
It's terrible.
I can't tell that it's ruined, but of course I'm an American, so I can't tell.
Yeah. I can't really trust your judgment on the accent.
I'm like, your accent's great. So let's go back to writing. So you have this universe of superheroes, sci-fi, and yeah, I could definitely, for most of your stories, I could see the sci-fi in there. What kind of prompted this universe? I'm just curious.
Well, I've always been kind of a continuity guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like continuity, and the thing is that all of these things are linked. They're just not obviously linked. So, Era of the Consortium, Era of the Chosen, Era Survival, if you look, they're quite clearly linked. Era Survival being my post-apocalypse game.
Gotcha.
Era of the Chosen is a game that's inspired by Turok, where there are creatures from another world or another universe which sort of reach into ours and grab people. Oh, I definitely need to talk about New Year, New Stories 2024, and the other New Year, New Stories projects, because I'm sure there are loads of comic creators watching this who will want to know about it.
Of course.
Do you mind if I take an aside down that road now?
Let's do it.
Right. New Year, New Stories is a project that I started in 2021.
Let me get rid of this.
When everything went to shit. And we, in January 2021, we did not know when conventions were going to reopen.
Right. No, we really didn't. Mm-mm.
So I said, look, I'm quite good at doing Kickstarters. I'll run a Kickstarter for our comics. All it has to have done is have been produced in the last year. It can be any theme, any genre, not overtly political, must be PG-13. That's about it. Right? Other than that, black or white color, I don't care. Whatever you like. Whatever you have created in the last year, you can submit it into New Year, New Stories, and you'll see it come to life.
Cool.
And we put it up on Kickstarter, and then we share the profits that we bring in. We print the print run, and then we share the profits between the creators that made it happen. And I've now done four years of this.
Amazing.
Here they are.
Oh, let me put it up.
I can only hold three of them at a time. Here's the other one. That's the first one. We did this one, and then we did this one, and then we did this one this year.
So how many creators were involved in each issue?
It started with 10, and it went to 15 for the second issue.
Wow.
15 for the third issue, and 16 for this year.
Dang. So how many?
And all it is a limited license to add. The other thing is you can only submit 10 pages, but that's fine. There are a lot of people who submit part of their work and go, hey. The other thing about this is we say, sorry, bad example because it was the first one. We say add a links page that sends us your other work, because the whole point is to get people looking at your work if they like what they see. Whoop,
that's cool.
Here's the matriarch. This was Johnny Buser's. It was a lovely comic. Greg submitted. You mentioned Greg earlier. Greg Mockman. Earlier, he submitted. Name escapes me. Ink.
Oh, Ink. Yes, I love that one.
Ink Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
This year just gone, and the payout isn't enormous. I'm not going to pretend it's wildly successful beyond everyone's wildest dreams, but it doesn't cost anything to submit, and it's really all about getting your name and your work out there to people who maybe wouldn't see it otherwise. It's all about really just raising the awareness about the indies in the community. I'm one of those people who has a bit of a bee in my bonnet about certain things that go on in the creative industry. Particularly on the role-playing side, there are sites like Drive-Thru RPG which deserve to be shut down, but complicated.
See, I don't know too much about the role-playing community.
But I mean, it was pretty true on comics with Comixology. Obviously, with that collapsing, I couldn't be happier. It means it is harder to get your comics noticed, people think, but in reality, what it means is finally people aren't just looking in one place for all of the comics. That they have to go and look places for comics. So if they're looking for indie comics, they aren't going to get another Robert Kirkman comic shoved in their faces because reasons. Nothing really against the guy. He's just like, he gets a lot of the spotlight.
He does. I know it's unfair. He is a great writer. I've read a lot of his stuff.
Mostly.
I like his writing.
He's good until he gets bored, I find.
I can see that. Like at some point, like when you're partway into,
he gets super excited about the thing and kicks off the thing, and it's really good. And then he gets to issue 20 or issue 30 or issue 50 or issue 100 or whatever, and he goes, right, I'm done now. I'm bored.
Well,
now.
I think he's moved on to like the next one, and he's like, can you finish this for me?
Exactly. And it's yes, he gets a lot of the spotlight, and he is a good writer, but there are better writers out there, and some of those live in the indie space, right? Some of those are not recognized and do not deserve to be ignored just because this one guy sells comics in the eyes of the large publishers. That's not cool.
So what's the answer then? How do we get more indie people into the spotlight?
Not my area. Not my department. You know what? If I was good at marketing, I wouldn't be in the financial situation that I'm in. I don't know the answer. I don't pretend to know the answer. And if it was simple and easy, then someone would have done it. It's not. I can say that much. It's not as easy as just launching a new Comixology. Comixology ended up the way it was, promoting the things that sell because they sell. Right? The biggest games Kickstarter ever was a Batman board game. Because they needed crowdfunding if they can afford a Batman license, obviously.
Good point.
Yeah. I have a beef with some of these things. You know,
I'm with you on that. Like people, like Berserker. Like, why are you crowdfunding? Why?
Yeah,
you can afford to do this on your own.
You know that anyone is going to pick this stuff up.
Right.
It's not a problem.
So why are you running it through Kickstarter and all these other indie creators, small creators that are looking for, people to find us and growing our audience? It's like Berserker's over there, so we're gonna back that while they're live and nuts to you.
Yeah. And again, I've run nearly 100 Kickstarters. I know
Mhm.
this better than most people. I experience it every day. It's just the way the world is.
Mhm.
And it really sucks. It makes it really hard to be an indie creator in an ongoing capacity.
Hey, Lee. How are you, man? Lee's a fabulous writer, by the way. Speaking of indie writers who really should get more time in the sun, Lee Newman right here. So funny. I have not, what do I want to say? I have enjoyed everything that this man has written, including his Twitter tweets. Those make me laugh too. So, yeah, Lee. So I mean, I feel you. So I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if indie in itself has found its spotlight. I really wish that we could.
I think that indie always has to fight against the brand recognition factor.
Yeah.
Whether it's an indie movie because you don't have well-known actors, people
Right.
go see a movie for actors as much as they'll go see a movie because they like the content.
Yes.
But as an indie production, you can't afford that.
Right. Unless
But
you
then
know
people
somebody.
are also happy to go away and complain about how they only see the same story written over and over again.
I
I've
was
got
just
I've got an
reading.
acquaintance who likes to complain about Superman a lot.
Yeah.
About how
Yeah.
every story is now being told there's no point anymore. Why are we even bothering? But
I
he
was
still goes
just
out and
reading
buys
that they're
Superman comics, and it's
what are they
like
rebooting? Heroes.
Heroes. They're rebooting Heroes. Yeah,
Yeah. Why?
money.
I mean, that's the thing. Like they've rebooted
So,
Interview with a Vampire. They've rebooted. I mean, like it's so many
so
things, and
it's
most of
the
them are
20-year rule,
trash.
right? It's the
Most of them are
20-year rule.
trash.
It's
But
the
they have
20-year
that
rule.
built-in audience. That's what they want.
It's the nostalgia, right?
Mhm.
So you grew up with Heroes because you are now not you, but their target audience. I mean, perhaps you. I have no idea, but you are, I don't know, say 35.
I wish, but I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
I'm
Their
older than
target
35.
audience.
Yes, so I can
Yeah.
remember.
Thank you. So am I. I only had my birthday the other day.
Hey,
Thank you.
that's right. Happy birthday. This is the first show you've done since your birthday.
It is, in fact.
Congratulations. Happy birthday, man. 29.
So, hypothetical person is 35.
Right?
And they grew up with Heroes when they were 15. They liked it. And obviously they now have disposable income because they're like 35.
You're an adult. Yep.
So
They have
they've
adult
more or
money.
less sorted themselves out. The other thing is when they're 55, they're waiting for retirement. Or 60. In their 20s they remember X. Therefore, things go in cycles of 20 or 40 years. That's the reason that Star Wars was when it was. That's the reason The Force Awakens happened when it was, because of that cycle, right? You're going for nostalgia.
And they're trying to get the actors that were involved before they pass away, the original actors.
Well, maybe.
Right?
I don't know. Maybe.
They tried.
They didn't work very hard on it in the sequel trilogy, did they?
No. Well, and I think they killed off the wrong character. That was the problem. Who was like, they did what? Lucas, what? No. You know what I mean? Because then we lost 2 of them.
Yeah, well. So yeah.
So reboots are trash.
That's why they're rebooting Heroes, because it's
have you been watching X-Men 97?
I have not.
Okay. Are you into X-Men? Did you watch that original?
I watched the animated X-Men when I was younger, but yeah, the thing is, these days I don't watch a lot at all. I'm kind of busy.
Don't either. I know. I go on. I always go on my friend Corissa Grant. She has like a non-show, so it's usually Monday nights, and a lot of the indie creators that come on, they like to watch movies, and they're always talking about the latest movies or things that they're, been watching. And I'm like, y'all have time to watch movies?
You aren't spending enough time creating, guys.
Well, and I have kids, so the majority of them don't. So that's how they spend their extra time is consuming media. And I'm like, I don't have that disposable time. I have kids. So
no, you spend your time on the things you choose to do.
Right.
I've got a very good friend, and I'm going to put him on blast now. Sorry, Leo.
Do it.
Leo said to me one day, well, actually, how we met is a funny story, but he came up to me at a convention and said, this was 10 years ago when Era of the Consortium was the only game I had, the sci-fi one. And he said, oh, hey, I'm at university and I want to do my dissertation on as an audio drama in a cyberpunk universe. Can I do it in your universe? And I was like, sure, why not? And that was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Cool.
But and eventually he said, Ed, I want to do some audio dramas in general. Can we do some audio dramas? And that's how we went down the audio drama route. But I frequently say to him, look, dude, what did you spend last night doing? He's like, oh, Netflix. I was on Twitter. I'm like, no wonder you're not getting like all these productions that you say you want to get done. No wonder you're not getting them done, mate. I love them to bits, but there are a lot of people out there who have the time and don't use it, and don't think that they think that, oh, I get home, I collapse, I watch Netflix for 4 hours, and then I go to sleep.
4 hours
is an acceptable, thing to do with their life, which is totally fine. Like, I'm not judging that.
I mean, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but
creative, you're like, really? Really? You can't see anything in there that maybe you could drop.
Look, Ed, nerd friendships are the best once you found someone you can yell at. No?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like, get off the TV, dude, and go write your stuff. No?
Yeah, turn off the TV, go write some stuff, go voice some stuff, go do whatever. So the other side of the coin is Leo is a tremendously talented voice actor. Just Leo, the guy I was mentioning, my friend. He's a tremendously talented voice actor, and he doesn't use his skill, which is really a bit sad. And I put something together once, and then he was gonna do the lead, and then he said, "Oh, I'm not gonna do the lead," and I ended up doing the lead, and yeah, so I ended up playing one of the really big bad guys in the Consortium universe, which is hilarious.
Hey, man, gotta do what you gotta do.
Indeed.
I have voice parts in my own short films because I didn't have anybody to do it.
Absolutely, you suck it up and you do it, don't you?
Right.
When it needs doing, it's got to be done.
And then I cringe at myself every time.
Indeed.
And Lee, I do agree with you. I think X-Men 97 is fire. I think it's one of the only shows that have been rebooted that is not trash.
I really don't know anything about it. I just haven't had time to watch it.
Well, if you do have time, I recommend that. I'm very picky about how I spend my time. And a lot of times if I start a show and I don't like it, I just don't bother finishing it. I don't have that much time.
Very seldom give up on something because I usually do things for another reason other than enjoyment.
Gotcha.
So right now, I have never been an anime person, right?
Really?
Never in my whole life. Nope. It just wasn't a thing for me at all. Right now, I'm trying to wrap my head around the differences in storytelling in anime versus other media.
Yeah, it's different, right?
It is. It's got some differences. It's got a lot of similarities. It's also got some differences. And I'm trying to wrap my head around that. So what I'm doing right now is, even if I'm not particularly enjoying it, I'm watching a few different anime things to try to get my head around it.
I do that as well. Sometimes I'll watch media and I'll break it down to find out why I feel a certain way.
So
and
I
how
watched,
are they
I watched
accomplishing
the
that?
first 5 episodes of an anime called Afro Samurai.
Love Afro Samurai.
Which was meh.
Yeah.
I found it
really
quite
good.
predictable, but I found it quite interesting in the way that they were telling the story and how it did vary from the way it would be in Western media.
I think this is the biggest difference between Eastern and Western is that they're like, here's 500 episodes, and we might get to a point at some point, but it's more about the journey. You know what I mean? And I feel like with my own writing, my goal is to be concise, and I don't have fluff. We don't go on side journeys, etc.
Yeah, I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that per se. I realize they have 500 episodes, and yeah, I'm not sure I
Not
agree
all
with
of them,
that.
but a lot of them.
What
Yeah,
I-
like
what
One
I can
Piece.
see
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead,
is
Ed.
many, many, many small character arcs,
Yes.
right? So they have 500 episodes. Well, first bear in mind they have episodes of a half or a third of the length of some Western media.
Mm-hmm.
So a 20-minute episode is not
20 minutes.
And in terms of running time, that makes, for example, Star Trek not that far off 500 episodes of anime.
If you broke it down to
Like
20.
one Star Trek series, like say TNG,
Okay.
not that far off one. It's not that at 120 odd episodes of 45 minutes, you're not that far off.
Yeah, you got a good point.
500 episodes of anime. So 500 sounds really intimidating. And yeah, I know One Piece has over 1,000. I know 500 episodes sounds intimidating, but it's not necessarily as much as it sounds. And yeah, anyway, I'm quite interested in how that differs, and I did some research, and that's the last thing that I actually sat down and watched. And then I watched a bit of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a couple of episodes of that, which were not very sophisticated storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes they are, sometimes
Obviously,
they aren't.
no. But I mean, it's also about the audience it's aimed at, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're aiming at 13, 14-year-olds, which this clearly is,
right, you can't be that complicated.
You're not going to get sophisticated storytelling.
No.
So yeah, I have become interested in that recently.
I don't know. We should probably have I don't know. I haven't done enough research on this, but I would love to get someone who's producing manga on the show, and we can ask them all the questions. Like, what do you mean they're not paying the page rate, or they're just doing it themselves, or I don't know. Good show, FMA Brotherhood. It picks up in the second half. Interesting. Yeah, I would love to have someone on the show that does manga. We could pick their brain. I have a couple different store owners I approached to have them on the show, so that would be cool. We can pick their brains too. But I always like to hear everybody's point of view on the show, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So when you find out more, are you planning to incorporate some of that into your own writing, or what's the purpose of this research? I'm just curious.
Probably role-playing game related in the first instance.
Mm-hmm.
I had some ideas from an anime movie called Red Line, which I watched with a couple of friends. It's about racing. It was pretty bad, to be honest. I understand it was hand-drawn and it took 7 years, but it was they missed so many opportunities and took like loads of weird cheap jokes instead of the good storyline they could have taken. Which I don't know if that's just me trying to get used to anime or what. Complete novice, I'm not pretending to necessarily understand, but I'm interested in. I'm always interested in telling stories. I've always been interested in telling stories in all different ways and helping other people.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell stories, and that's what role-playing games is about. That's what New Year, New Stories is all about. It's about helping other people tell stories, because role-playing games give a framework. New Year, New Stories let people just have some money and some. I hate to use the word, but it's some money and some exposure for the work that they're creating. And importantly, I just coming back to New Year, New Stories for a moment. I welcome anyone who is a comic creator to submit to that. You can find us on Facebook at Shades of Vengeance or or message me, Ed Jowett, on Facebook.
Cool.
It's that there are some limits. It can't be super gory. It can't be super political. Fine.
Right.
I just don't want to upset anyone beyond necessary.
Right. Well, especially when you're doing like a compilation.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can't have
It
one
reflects
story
other
that just
people's
doesn't
work.
match the energy of the rest of them. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
that's out of the blue.
I
love Attack on Titan. Yeah. If I recommend that too. If you want to get into more adult theme, Attack on Titan is very good at what they do. They leave a lot of twists, and there's a lot of really unexpected turns in this one. So it's different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only just sort of just dipping my toes in. I'm far from getting there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that the reason that my anime inclined friends suggested Full Metal Alchemist is because it is the classic one that everyone grew
Yes.
up with.
Yeah.
Which is reasonable. You know, that's going to shape a lot of people's understanding and thoughts about the genre.
Yeah, of course. I think that one has inspired a lot of other ones. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? In
quite
one
frankly.
way, shape, or form. When it comes to role playing and comics, I've had other creators on the show that role playing is kind of their main inspiration, where they've played a campaign and the characters then become like the main characters of their story. Do you find that happens with any of your own work, that you had a really inspiring campaign and you were like, I would really love to put this into a story arc?
No.
It goes the other way, I think, with you.
I don't really like that. And the reason I don't like that is it starts to lay down events beyond what need to be laid down for everybody else.
What do you mean by that? Explain.
Okay, look at a role-playing game as a scaffolding for the universe, right?
Mhm.
There are areas which must be the way they are. And then there are a lot of areas where there's a lot of flexibility. The more that you lay down exactly what happened within the areas where there can be flexibility, the more you are leaving other people open when trying to explore that universe to someone saying, oh no, but actually in this issue of this comic, this meant this, so you can't do this anymore, so that's not allowed. And that reduces options. Sorry, 1 second.
You're fine. I'm going to put this back up.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry about that. Just had a so that reduces options, and I do not like reducing options for storytelling. I think it's the wrong approach. In the extreme, to be honest. These characters that you're looking at right there, for example,
there's a bear.
did not come from the role-playing game. Yeah, there is. They are playable in the role-playing game. Their stats are available, but they've been played by dozens of different people. Each of them.
That's cool.
And they everyone has their own take on them.
Right.
That guy down the front, Lobo, next to the bear.
This guy
in the middle. Yeah, that guy. He there's one person who plays him who believes that he's a writer, and he writes poetry and publishes it under a pseudonym.
That's hilarious.
And that's his take on that character, right? Like it's this warrior soul who also writes poetry. And that's brilliant, and I love it. And the framework of that character that already existed gave him that flexibility to then build out in his way. Right? He also likes blowing things up with firebombs. But that's, just mild psychosis.
So then maybe if that person had read a comic book,
but if I start
with
making
Lobo.
comics that no, it's definitely not the case that he writes poetry, then that removes
that would have never
person,
happened. That's a good
right?
point.
It removes that person's legitimacy for their own character, and I really dislike that. So
in this universe, was there an event that happened that gave your characters special powers, or is it just kind of canon that empowered exist in this world?
It's the reason I'm hesitating is it's complicated.
I was going to say, is it a spoiler? Don't tell us if it's a spoiler. Don't.
It is a spoiler in a sense.
Okay, so don't tell us.
But also, it's not hard to find out if you look at the role-playing game for 5 seconds. So,
okay.
In short, powers appeared out of nowhere one day. Heroes being a good example, right?
Gotcha.
Powers appear out of nowhere one day. Bunch of people get powers. No one really knows why. And an alien turns up and says, right, there's a big nasty on the way, and if you don't work with me, then we're in big trouble.
Oh, great.
And this alien realizes that the ones who won't work with him it's best to make an army of supervillains, because the heroes will always work harder to try and beat the supervillains than the villains will to beat the heroes. So he makes an army of supervillains to push the heroes to their upper limit so that they become as powerful as possible in time for this nasty thing that is coming.
Oh, interesting.
Because that is what you would do tactically if you're smart.
Train. Yeah,
smart villain.
train. You need to train. And how else do you train empowered?
Alien. Yeah, you train empowered by throwing the villains at them and making them stronger every time, right? If we'd learned anything from decades of Spider-Man comics, right?
Yeah.
So, that's exactly what this guy does. He's known as the Harbinger, and he's kind of a big deal. And then when the thing eventually arrives, which again, I'm not going to spoil you for, he literally goes, right, okay, supervillains, you're going to fight this thing at the side of the superheroes. Go.
Guess what? You're all on the same side now.
Otherwise, you will die. Side all along.
Right.
Why wouldn't we be? Wait, I thought I was joining this to be a supervillain. No. You were joining this to train the superheroes. They just wouldn't agree.
Right. And you thought you were the bad guys? This guy's the bad guy. This guy's the bad guy. That's
so
funny.
That's the short answer to where powers came from. No one really knows, apart from Harbinger, and it is. Sorry for me. Yeah. Well, yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that trying to tell the same story medium to medium without adjusting it is hopelessly naive.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's one of the reasons that the Dune movies don't work.
Right.
Sorry, they don't. Sorry, guys. I'm a lifelong Dune fan. My literal online handle is Sandworm. I am a lifelong Dune fan. The new Dune movies do not work. They have really big problems. And it's mostly because they've just tried to adapt the books almost exactly to the movie. And the places where they really work well are where they haven't tried to do that.
Mm.
Where they've gone, right, what is the essence of Duncan Idaho dying? Well, it looks like this, and it's got this happening. Okay, and how do we show the Sardaukar are that powerful earlier? Okay, let's do this thing where there are Atreides standing at the top of the stairs, gunning down Harkonnen, and then 4 Sardaukar just drop down behind them and kill them all in 5 seconds. Okay, now we know, we've got a tier system, and then Duncan is just stood there fighting like 12 Sardaukar and just like absolutely annihilating them. And yeah, he falls, but geez. That's you
contradict your own.
That event is broadly described in the book. It is what happens to him. That is how he dies.
Yep.
However, he dies behind the door. You never see it.
Right.
What they did is go, no, what I want to do is show this. I want you to understand that this is what's going on. And they showed it by taking a step back and thinking, how do we show this event?
Lee.
I don't understand that.
Here in the U.S., they made these popcorn buckets with that's a sandworm mouth, and it looked just wrong. It just looked wrong.
I would. Someone needs to mail me one of those. I'm not kidding.
Oh no!
I need one.
Wait.
I will pay any reasonable amount of money to get one. I'm not kidding.
Sandworm popcorn bucket, so you can see what it looks like. Images.
I would never put popcorn in it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, I don't recommend putting popcorn in this thing, but
I just want it because that sounds amazing.
Wait, I'm gonna get you a better picture. Hold on. That one was just so funny. All right, let's go back to here. Here, we'll share this page. Hold on, people. Sorry, we're going down this rabbit hole. Okay. All right, so here's some more images for you. Okay, it's just this top part goes over the popcorn bucket, but people were.
Oh, okay, that's slightly disappointing. I was expecting something a bit better than that. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, people are, people.
Mildly disappointing.
And can think of all the ways to make this inappropriate.
What would Leto Atreides II say?
So anyway, that's what that was in reference to. So, oh goodness, let's go back to here. Dune stuff. I can't. I would love to hear more about this one. Because I'm into zombies, of course. We didn't talk about this one at all. This is just
a little bit. We did a little bit.
The RPG world where 100 years ago a cataclysm left mutants and zombies walking across the world. Humanity is a dying race, and all that remains is the struggle to stay alive. Will you survive? Did you write comics in this genre too?
I have to send you a link, and you have to do this live. You'll
Let's
love
do it.
There's this thing that I made like years ago now for fun. Because the majority of things I do for fun. Let me find the chat here. Here you go. Sorry, let me just join the chat. I want to share this with everyone.
Do it.
Because you'll love it, I promise. Come on. Let me in. There we go. What?
Did you post it and it won't post
it? Failed to post.
Okay, just post anything. Just put your name and I think I can give you a wrench. Pops can help me. He's here.
Oops. That did something else.
Dune stuff. All right. Are we able to? Ed is my name. Pops, are you there? How we give you a wrench? Pops.
Maybe you can share the link for me.
Here, put the link in. Did you put it in the private chat? There it is.
Yeah, I put it in the private chat. Yeah.
I got it. Copy.
Highly recommend checking out this link. It's hilarious. And we've got to have Laurie do it now since you're like a big
okay.
like a big post-apocalypse fan.
Yes.
We got to try this now.
Let me go there. Is this it?
Yep, this is it.
Okay.
So what happened to you on Gaia? How did your life in the post-apocalypse go?
Put my name, Laurie.
Yep. There you go.
Laurie was
born. You were born in post-cataclysm Gaia.
Okay.
You joined Potestates. They're a faction who really believe that they can turn the infection into like superpowers.
Sounds accurate.
And then you eventually join the Sisterhood of Pyrrhus and live out the rest of your days in safety.
Ah, lame.
Underground in a nuclear-powered bunker, where the Sisterhood of Pyrrhus, basically, they're not very nice people to anyone who isn't a member of them, but they're pretty nice to their own. and they just want to survive underground. So you had a good life. You had a good
I
life.
survived. Doesn't
You
sound like I was
survived.
nice to anybody, but that's accurate.
I mean, if you're unlucky, you can actually die in the initial post-apocalypse.
Let's put someone else's name. Let's see what. No, stop sharing. Go back.
I just really have nothing better to do with my life than make this sort of thing.
Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna put Lee's name in here and see what happens to Lee Newman. Okay. Uh-oh.
Oh, he survived on the surface.
Yeah.
He joined a band of raiders and preyed on whoever crossed their path.
It's not nice, Lee.
And he was used by Potestates as a test subject.
Oh, you're my test subject.
I'm assuming that was you, yeah.
I'm like, come on, Lee, let me help. Oh, we're gonna run some poke. Oh, okay, here. So we'll put a new name. Let's see what happens to Ed.
I'm gonna die.
You die? Well, you're born in post-cataclysm Gaia. Ed trained to be a wise one. What's a wise one? So
wise ones understand old technology from before the cataclysm. Most people don't bother, but like complex electronics and such.
Gotcha. Ed became infected and decided to explore Fallout, seeing what no human had seen before. You were right. You died. That's so sad.
I didn't die. I got infected. I'll probably live forever.
At least you didn't get eaten. One last one. We'll put Pops Van Zant. Let's see what Pops Van Zant has. Survived the cataclysm. Joined a band of raiders.
Oh, nasty.
Oh, trapdoor ants.
Oh, nasty. But there you go. You can even share it to Twitter or Facebook if that's your thing.
That's funny. That's cool. It's like a little choose your own adventure. You just put your name in it.
Yeah, and it just does one of a fairly large number of possibilities.
That's cool. Here's that link, everybody.
Die in the cataclysm, by the way. That's a thing that's possible.
You can die in the cataclysm?
You can die in the cataclysm.
You could just get eaten? Do they eat
you?
you?
You just get the first image that says you died in the cataclysm. The end.
Does it show you getting eaten?
No, it shows you getting blown up.
Oh. Okay. That's funny.
Oh dear. Yeah, so that was just fun. That was just fun.
So can we talk for a minute about your audio dramas? That's something different. I've talked to maybe one or two people that do these, and I know it's complicated, but can we talk about this? Like, how did you even start with this?
So it's Leo's fault.
Leo, okay.
Actually, we were just discussing on the Discord yesterday. Rule number 1 of Shades of Vengeance is blame it on Leo.
That's what happens.
So it's Leo's fault. Leo is a talented voice actor, and you know there's no getting around that. He wanted to do some audio stuff, so we decided we'd write and do some audio stuff.
Can I play this?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
The trailer? Let's see.
You're going to hear my voice.
Elliot, I am afraid that we have just received some upsetting news. I wanted to explain what has happened to you before you hear about it anywhere else.
I can't follow you to Smyrdia Security. I've got my own plans. My father...
Everything is temporary, Janelle.
Don't do this to yourself. It's not worth it.
Can't quite reach it.
Here you are.
Wait, Smyrdia Security is huge. There has to be more to this.
I see you, Mr. Dragon. The others may not, but with long life comes large experience.
May the best man win. A Titan's rise.
Nice.
So we wrote this full cast audio drama. This I would recommend playing as well. Once I've just had a moment to talk about A Titan's Rise, because I should talk about A Titan's Rise. So it's set in the era of the Consortium universe, the Sci-Fi universe.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry. The Sci-Fi universe we were just talking about. Yeah, try going near the end. There's just a shot of the. Yeah, there you go. That's
there we go.
Neutral. So it's set in that same era of the Consortium Sci-Fi universe. Some of the comics are set there, some of the audio is set there, and this was 8 episodes of about half an hour.
Dang. Okay, thank you. I was going to ask, how long are these? How many of?
Yeah,
so 8 episodes, 30 minutes long. That's long.
So about 4 hours of content. And it follows this guy Elliot Dragon, who's played by me. As he goes from basically an innocent child to the most sinister and ruthless individual in the Consortium. In fact, he's behind the attempted murder of 14 billion humans and aliens, mostly aliens. He really doesn't like aliens. And the thing is, so in the rule book, he already exists. Like, he's in that history that I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But I never had much opportunity to give him reason. And he was such a two-dimensional villain as a result, because he just kind of wants to blow up the solar system that has all the aliens in.
Why?
Well, and the answer is in A Titan's Rise.
Right.
He blames aliens for a lot of things that happened to him. Which some of which were aliens' fault, and some of which were even prejudice towards aliens against humans because of quotas and numbers, and some of which were just what he thinks rather than rather than what's real. You know, some of it is his perception. But it's about this kid who should have been nothing. He's an orphan. His parents die. That was the opening of the trailer there. That was his headmistress telling him that his parents have just died. We don't pull punches here.
Right.
It's about how a perfectly ordinary normal person can be twisted by the events that happen to them in their life, some of which they chose unknowingly and not deliberately, and some of which they did not. So it's a really exciting story. In fact, we're putting it up on Patreon. We did our Kickstarter run.
Oh, that's glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, and we're putting it up on Patreon. We're going to put the episodes up. We've also got a whole bunch of other stuff as well. We've got Stranded, which is the story of a man who's basically, his ship gets hit by pirates and he's shoved into an escape pod. And he ends up on this giant empty space station that's 100 years old, sort of inspired by Stargate's universe. And you know, he's just one person alone. He's trying to make that's Stranded there. He's trying to make the water work and the air breathable and so on and so on. He's got all these survival challenges to overcome, and also he has to not go insane. Although I'm not sure he didn't go insane in the first episode, because he does talk to his definitely not actually AI computer programs as if they're thinking people.
Oh no.
So his particular friend is Dave, who was the distress beacon at the beginning.
That's funny.
And there's Betty, the environmental system, and there's Nico, who's he's the like the space station's admin system.
Also funny.
And then pretty much his only living companion on the space station is Monty the monster fish, who is a giant fish that sort of lives in the water tanks of the station. because they stripped everything out when they left, but there was some stuff that it's not practical to take. So they left a lot of the water tanks behind and a lot of the not a lot of equipment that's small, but a lot of the really big stuff. So the life support working and the water's sort of broadly working. Monty the Monster Fish, I just dealt with the episode that he appears in for the first time. And Adam Durgeman, who played Gideon, just did the perfect job of this guy who's all alone. He's naturally clever, but he's never had to apply himself in his life.
No, okay.
He took this job. It was the job that he's doing in Stranded before on the ship. It's an experimental ship. He's a navigator, and the ship's stuff, the ship's navigation system is not experimental. He's just there as like some bod has to be in the seat, and he took that job because basically his boss hates him, and he just wanted the easy money. So he was like, "Oh well, I'll just go here, do this testing thing for a year. This sounds good."
And then he ends up where he is.
He ends up on an asteroid, like a hollowed out asteroid hidden base, because he was going to have no air before he got anywhere else. You know, it's a true disaster. And then it's all about, you know, it's a really positive story in its way, because it's all about overcoming those challenges that you don't know how to deal with.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it's one disaster after the other, and
never applied himself. He's doing electronics, and he's trying to figure out the plumbing, and he's trying to deal with the air, and he's trying to deal with these little insects that keep eating all the vacuum seals on things, and so on and so on and so on. Right. And it's really very inspiring, I think, the story. I co-wrote it with a good friend of mine from, 12 years ago. She started working on Era the Consortium with me, Amy Allwarden, who is just, A, has the best name for a writer in the universe, and B, seriously, and B, she's just brilliant at this sort of thing.
Yeah.
She manages to keep it like really positive while he's going through some serious stuff. And episode 1 is there for free on the site.
Cool.
So anyone can have a listen to it. Episode 2 will be you'll have to be a patron for $2 to get everything that we put out.
Gotcha. Yeah, this just launched yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so everybody, I put the link up on the screen if you want to. This is probably one of the best ways to get Ed's latest, greatest, whatever is happening.
We're going to be releasing an episode of Stranded every month for the next 5 months at the very least. There are 10 episodes, but only 5 are edited so far.
Gotcha.
We are going to be releasing an episode of A Titan's Rise every month, and then going over to Radio Free Tyrannus, which is imagine Alex Jones from InfoWars.
Okay.
But he's right, because it's a cyberpunk dystopia, and they really did put chemicals in your cereal to make you think different. That was the idea we had for Radio Free Tyrannus. It's quite he's a lot more Scottish because he's played by a Scottish voice actor. It was kind of like, yeah, this is the kind of person you'd dismiss as like crazy, except you're in a sci-fi dystopia, and they absolutely would. There would be a team up between the guys who make the cranial implants and the security system, so that there was like a lethal injection into your brain when you are the wrong person who sees an advert.
Oh no!
They absolutely would. They 100% would do that. There's no doubt in my mind.
That's crazy.
The other thing about Radio Free Tyrannus is it featured the legendary Jennifer Hale, who some people might know as Femshep from Mass Effect, and everyone else will have heard from something. I guarantee it. Check her IMDb at some point. It's enormous. So it was a great privilege to work with her. She was absolutely wonderful.
How did you manage that?
I met her at a convention in Manchester.
Gotcha.
And that was after having tried to get her agent's ear for a year.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I'll just put in a word with my agent. This sounds like a really cool project." I showed her the book that I showed you. This sounds like a really cool project. I'd love to be involved, and so that's how that happened. It was quite funny, actually, because her agent wouldn't give me the time of day. We're far too small. We're far too insignificant. But no, she was like, no, I want to do this. So I'll tell her to check her email and find your email.
Cool. You're like, yeah, I've only written to her 17 times.
More like 57 times.
There you go. All right, I want to go back to here.
Oh yeah, you want to watch? So
Yeah.
Erin Nicole Lundquist, who is one of my favorite people to work with. I just finished a Kickstarter called Dark City, which is a noir detective thing.
Okay.
And it's in that chosen universe where those creatures that grab people. But she doesn't know. So she's solving them as like murder mysteries.
Oh.
And it's all about the conspiracy to hide the fact that these creatures exist.
Gotcha.
And she comes therefore up against... Anyway, she recorded that with me, but she and Leo... I launched Dragon Song. It was my fantasy game. Era Dragon Song. And there you go.
Wow.
I launched it on Kickstarter while we were recording Dark City. So she said, "Oh, hey, if you want to like do something," she and I chatted a lot, and she said, "Oh, I've got this brilliant orc voice." I'm like, "Yeah, now I have to write something so you can use this orc voice now." So you're about to play this, but it's actually quite long. Just for the record, it's like 10 minutes long.
Okay,
I don't know if that's
okay.
too long.
No,
Maybe
we have
play a
time.
sample of it, I don't know. But she played both female characters. No, all three female characters. I'm very sorry. And Leo played the dwarf.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's hear
She's
it.
incredibly talented.
I'm ready for it.
Escapes presents Elemental Evil, starring Erin Nicole Lundquist and Leo Koch. With additions. That did not work at all.
No.
I've never seen that before.
I was like, did it? I must have clicked that. Wow. That is also not what I wanted. Why is it having such a problem? It did it for the last one.
I have no idea.
All right. Well, we're just going to play it.
Try opening it in YouTube instead.
Hold on.
Maybe it's just my website.
Helps if it's actually shared.
Written and directed by Ed Jowett and edited by Leo Koch.
There we go.
There we go. Now it's working.
Just push all the buttons.
Oh, God, it feels like we've been walking for ages. My feet are aching, and dwarven feet shouldn't ache. God, the texture underfoot here as well. Dustier than an apprentice's forge. What is this, sand? Can't even tell at this point. And there's no a whiff of mushroom anywhere. There's no earth. There's no nature. Oh, okay, yeah, you can keep grumbling. You've been angry since your last breakfast, and that was 3 breakfasts ago, you hungry cows.
You don't control anyone but yourself. It's fine. This is fine.
Honestly. Erdram, have you heard this? This affirmation isn't going to work. Not at all. No, it's a nice try.
Shut up! Let's just move forward.
God, what do you mean move forward? We've only been moving forward. It's just one long straight line. And we've been going for at least 30 minutes. And that's 3 dwarven hours.
Most of that was ad-libbed. It was hilarious. I was just sat there pissing myself. It's so funny.
Look at the quality of this stone. You can tell that this is human-made stone. Because there's no subtlety to it, there's no dwarven craftsmanship. It's just too rough. Oh, my nana would wipe her arse with this. That's how uncrafted and textured it is. My goodness. Oh, and the passageway opens out into another chamber. How thrilling. Remind me why we're exploring this ruin again.
Shh. There's an old woman kneeling over there in the shadows.
Aye. And she's as crazy as we are for coming down this passage.
Don't be so quick to judge. Look at those stone slabs. That's not damage. They are engraved.
I'm starting to agree with the dwarf. But fine. You read the carvings. I'll question this one.
I have a name, you know.
But it's a stupid name.
Snorri is not a stupid name.
Shut up! You! I will speak with you.
She's, just looking at ya. Okay. Now she's looking at me. This is uncomfortable.
I'm losing patience.
Greetings, child of the caves. Yes, of the cave tribes.
What is your purpose here?
I am simply preparing the way for him.
Who is him?
He is the one for whom I prepare the way.
Circular logic. Great. Oh.
So, your entire purpose is to prepare the way.
Be nice, Egga.
It's pathetic. What a waste of life to just send people to the person you worship.
I would have thought you, of all people, would understand, given your dedication to Manhot.
That's totally different.
You are touched with his power! You sense his power within me.
Yes! You may be the chosen one!
Hang on a moment there.
I'm honored you would think so.
You should see him.
Indeed. Is he through those doors?
You are as wise as you are powerful. Oh, please, feel free to proceed. Oh, nothing will prevent you. Touched. I don't like this one, Drill.
Yeah, don't touch.
Harmless enough. But what about her master?
I'm not going to claim I believe I'm chosen, but a being who another being worships has power. I'm going to meet him. Try to learn about that power. If I've been touched by his power, maybe he knows something of the plague. I have to try.
Then I'm with you. You still need someone to keep you alive on this quest, you know.
A little here,
Who are you calling little? Move to the left. Oh, come on. Put your shoulders into it. What kind of cave were you born into? Sandstone?
Yeah, I am. I'd like to see you do better.
Orcs. Oh, it's warm in here. It's sweatier than a locust-kin's arse crack in the summertime.
It is, but I find it pleasant. But
watch your step. Lava!
Limpa's arrows. Where are they?
Come, my friends. This is a cavern like any other. Do not fear, and do not stray off the path.
You know, that banging sounds a little like an anvil. What was that?
Ha ha ha! Finally, something to fight. Hey, go! Wait! We don't know what's in there.
Oh no.
Nothing good.
It's like, and total party kill.
No.
No, he's still breathing.
Okay. I need to get to my feet. Right. Just.
Urga's still breathing.
I haven't got the strength, have you? Come on.
Barely.
Out of here.
Barely.
Just hold on to me. Come on, try. Don't worry. Arthur. We're gonna make it out alive. If it's the last thing I do, just steady your breathing. Stop talking. Quiet. Come on, we're nearly there. Don't worry, Arthur. You're just a bit singed. We'll find you a healer. Sort those burns and you'll be right as rain in no time.
You...
Listen, lady. We need help. Do you know a healer?
You have shunned his blessing!
In Elemental Evil.
There you
Mega,
I knew
Urza,
she wasn't
and
right.
the Old Woman
It's
was
like,
played
don't
by
trust that
Erin
lady.
Lundquist. Absolutely, the dwarf was played by Leo Kosh.
That was awesome. Cool.
Snorri is not a stupid name.
It's not. It was great.
So, just to give you an idea, that was written in about an hour and a half. Quite heavy on the improv, and the editing was done in like a day, an evening, basically, because it
Wow.
was during the Kickstarter that we actually recorded this. And so that is really low quality relative to what we usually do. Like overall, and I'm very happy with the quality of that. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but relative to like what we'll normally do, it'll be scored, it'll have full sound effects, it'll have soundscapes as well. We obviously did the soundscape for the lava cave.
Yeah.
So what's going on there, just in case you were wondering, it's actually a dramatization of a session that I ran as a demo for Era Dragonsong a bunch of times. The idea is that this lady is sending them into a dragon. Dragons in Era Dragonsong are literally immortal.
Okay.
Right? And the dragon is basically, there's an ogre there that's sort of immune to fire.
Okay.
That's banging on he's forging a
Anvil.
sword. He basically pulls a train. The dragon pops up, breathes dragon fire on the sword, and the ogre keeps. And it was nothing to do with their presence. It was literally just the wave of fire from the ogre just pulling the chain.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Whatsoever. And I've had people react so differently to it. Like
Interesting.
Mega, some just run forward because it's something to fight. That's been a thing. Most people do get hit by a wave of fire and have to retreat. Some people get that far and find out. But yeah, basically this ogre's just forging a sword using dragon fire.
That's funny. And
For
they
the
just
dragon.
walk
He's
in there,
like
and this
a
is how they have to
dragon.
deal with it. Yeah.
Some people even tried to free the ogre. It was hilarious.
Like he wants to be there. He's working.
No, he's chained to the anvil.
Oh, he is chained to the anvil.
Yeah, he didn't try to go there when he was freed, though. But yeah, that was we just came up with this fun idea. We decided we were going to do it, and we did it. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. Obviously, Erin, tremendously talented.
Yeah.
Leo as well, doing a really nice job. And again, most of the funniest bits there were absolutely from Leo. Locust kin are a thing in Era Dragonsong. They're one of the races. And I don't know what a Locust King's arse crack is like in the summertime, but apparently Snorri does.
Apparently, it's sweaty.
Apparently it is. It's warm. But,
hilarious and gross.
Yeah. Leo can give you gross when you want it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was so much fun. And again, if you want to know how that measures up in quality to what we normally do, it's actually lower quality because of the rush we did it in.
Right. That was just something fun.
It was just something fun. It was a 10-minute thing that we did that was just like a quick, like, oh yeah, let's do this thing and finish it within the Kickstarter. And we're like 3 weeks into the Kickstarter with 2 weeks, a week and a half left or whatever. Yeah, we better do it pretty damn quick, haven't we?
Right.
And we literally just sat down right here. Leo sat right here, and Erin was she's out in Texas as well, actually.
Oh, nice.
And we just sat down. We recorded it.
Very cool. Well, that's the show, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, dude. Ed, you do so much stuff. Where do you recommend that people follow you? What's the best place?
Well, I have a number of different platforms, as you might expect.
Yeah.
So there's facebook.com/Shades of Vengeance. There's Twitter. Twitter in particular, if you're voice acting inclined, definitely worth checking out. Patreon, if you're up for audio stuff. It's only $2. You'll get everything we release every month. That is 2 actual plays and 2 audio dramas at the moment. The more we bring in, the more we can write and the more we can release. I'd love to. Nothing would make me happier. There's Instagram. We've actually got 3 Instagrams. We've got Era Games. No, I'm wrong. We've got Shades of Vengeance. We've got SOV Comics, and we've got Erascapes. So depending on which bit or all 3, if you're into all 3. We've got a TikTok that I have posted on in the past. I can't. I'm a bit old. I'm a bit old for TikTok. Actually, I'm a bit old for literally all social media. But yeah, I'm an old man. But we do have a TikTok. I think it's SOV Comics. I'm pretty sure it's SOV Comics.
Okay.
And we have a Discord where anyone who wants to play the role-playing games, we actually run sessions for free for anyone who would like to join us. Everyone is welcome.
Cool.
Let me just send you a link here just in case there's anyone
I'll drop
here
it in the chat.
who would be interested. Just making sure it doesn't expire. And I'll drop it in the chat right here. Anyone who wants to play a role-playing game or talk about our stuff or find out more about our stuff can join us. I think you might need to post it again. I'm not sure.
Yep, I'm gonna put it. No problem.
Again,
There you go, everybody.
Oh,
you got a wrench. It worked. See? Ta-da.
Oh,
Pops
cool.
must have done it. Thanks, Pops.
We do loads of stuff. We're going to keep doing loads of stuff. Everyone is welcome on our Discord. Our community is really nice, really friendly. We love running games. We love telling stories. And I'm going to keep doing it. Nothing's going to stop me. But it does help if people, actually want to read it, and support is always helpful, because I promised you I would tell you a little bit about what's coming up that's secret.
Oh, yes. Tell us.
And I'll give you 60 seconds on projects I've got coming up.
Go.
I've just finished on Kickstarter, and I'm about to deliver, which means it'll be available to the general public very soon, an era survival comic called Grace Under Pressure.
Cool.
Which is the zombie apocalypse game.
For me, thank you.
For you. It is the 10th anniversary of Era the Consortium this year.
Oh, yay.
There will be revels and celebrations of various creative kinds.
Nice.
I've just finished a novel on Kickstarter, which did very nicely, and that's going to be going out into the world very soon as well.
What's that one called?
Empty Shell.
Empty Shell. Gotcha.
And the things that are in the works right now, I'm working on a role-playing game which is inspired by 80s and 90s action movies.
Cool.
Where, you are an overly muscled action hero, and you have the ability to bend reality by using continuity errors to make the thing happen that you want to happen.
That's unique. I like that.
It's the book's written. I'm waiting for artwork on that one.
Gotcha.
I'm also working on a Dark Souls inspired game. I love the Dark Souls series, and I've played all of them, Demon Souls and Bloodborne and all the rest. And I wanted to capture that in a role playing game because the Dark Souls role playing game was deeply disappointing to me. I feel like better can be done. And I intend to do better. I'm midway through artwork on that one. I've got a load of artwork already done and more to come. I am working on a team up comic, or the second team up comic, I should say, for the superheroes in the comics area.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, they had a team up already, but it was part 1 of 3. I ran into some production issues around the artist didn't want to do it anymore, which is totally fair enough. He's been doing it for a long time.
Right.
And I had to find a new artist, and I've struggled to find anyone who could really do at the quality that I want.
Right.
I've struggled. I am obviously doing a whole bunch of audio stuff.
Cool.
I've got a load more stuff coming in the Era of the Consortium universe. We've got an Era of the Empowered audio book. If you're an audio person, so for the superheroes.
Cool.
And I've just finished writing today a rewrite of that original audio drama that Leo wrote for his dissertation. I've rewritten it, and we're going to re-record it, and also then a sequel, which it's great fun, this one. It's one prologue of about 5 minutes long, and then 5 different endings, each of 5 minutes long, depending on it's sort of what choice does he make?
Yeah, that's cool. I like stuff like that too.
So I've just finished writing that today. We've just put out a casting call on Twitter for it. In fact, for the last few parts we put out a casting call yesterday for 5 audio drama parts. So if there are any voice actors out there watching, get in touch. Shades_of_venge on Twitter, because Twitter has 1 character less in the number of letters you're allowed in your social media name, and because I had to name my company Shades of Vengeance, I brought it on myself, I admit it, but it's still not fair. So loads of cool stuff going on. Not likely to stop having cool stuff anytime soon.
Right.
Era Kaiju, the role-playing game I mentioned earlier, where you can play as a kaiju, will be available to the general public soon. I've more or less delivered the Kickstarter at this point. And again, if you want to try any of these crazy games that I'm talking about, hop on the Discord. It's there. It's there to try the games and play the games. And hopefully, if you like them, you'll go ahead and buy a copy. But if you don't, we don't charge you. It's for free. You can just join us and play the game if that's your thing. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay. Just come along and give it a go.
That's cool. You can come give it a try. Absolutely. Free sample.
Sure.
That's what we'll call it.
There are some people who've been on here and played like dozens of games and never bought a game. So, we're easy. You're going to buy it or you're not. And you'll buy it when you're ready to buy it. So
exactly.
Why push it? We're not here to, once again, we're not here to make money. We're here to make stories.
That's awesome.
Money helps, but
it's the best.
But it's not about the money, it's about the stories.
Right. Well, thank you, Ed. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your 12 years of or more of experience and storytelling and all the different mediums. I think that's super inspiring, and I hope people can see it's like you and the Morgan Quaids and these guys that just do everything that inspire us to maybe push a little harder and get off the video games and off the Netflix and go write.
You know what? I'll say one other thing. If you're a creator and you're struggling, you want to move into a new medium, or you're struggling with something, reach out on Discord. I'm a pretty nice guy, and I might give you a kick up the arse. If I do it,
it'll get you going. Yeah.
If you're going, I really don't know how to do this, reach out. Maybe I can help. Or if I can't, maybe I know someone who can.
That's very generous of you. Thank you
It's
so
all
much,
about
Ed.
telling stories, and in a world where AI is telling more and more of our stories,
We need to
enabling
support
humans is vital,
creators.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Support creators, support indie. That's right. All right, my friends, this is our show, and please join us next week for another episode of the Tuesday Morning Brew. We will have more indie, and we will give everybody a spotlight and see what's popping in the world of creativity. Remember to be nice to each other. Please be excellent to each other, and kiss your babies. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Touch you down, a smile of your brow. Put a little madness in your life. If life makes you unashamed, and comics are your estate, put a little madness in your life. Come give your mind a cleanse, tune in with pops and friends. Just turn on your Roku box and then put a little madness in your
The future. The final frontier. It has never been so uncertain as now. AI, VR, haptic wear, nanotechnology, mass destruction with a remote click. Now we are finally seeing the true potential and dangers of an ever-connected and overly policed hyper-technological world. Have we finally become the architect of our own demise? Is there still hope? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Punk Droid.
Glamorized and embraced by Hollywood, feared in the underworld, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel was one of the most powerful men in America. He was also one of the most hated. The man who gave birth to Las Vegas was gunned down in the luxurious home of his glamorous lover. Almost 80 years later, his murder remains unsolved. Who killed Bugsy?
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals.